Dorian, and I am trying to read 20 books in 2022, and so far I have read, I think, 5. So we are going to change that, and I figured that I would do a little challenge for myself, and I would read 50 pages a day for 5 days. I know that that is not a ton of pages per day, but that's definitely more than I usually do, so I think it's going to be like a challenging enough challenge that is also fun. I have some books picked out that I want to read. I'm almost done with Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. I am listening to this podcast called The Newest Olympian, where Mike Schubert, who made one of my favorite podcasts called Potter List, where he read all of the Harry Potter books for the first time, is now making a podcast where he is reading the Percy Jackson novels for the first time. I have read the Percy Jackson series, and so this is a reread, but I want to just kind of read along as I listen to the podcast, but I've been behind. This is the second book in the series, and the podcast is currently in the middle of the third book, so I have some catching up to do. I'm at page 205, and there's 265 pages in this book, so I figured that I would just finish this today, you know, and then I have my 50, 60 even pages done for today, and then I want to spice things up a bit. I have been reading A Journal of the Plague Year by Daniel Defoe for a good few months now, but I have been kind of stuck, so I want to get into it again. I'm at page 111, and there's 255 pages, so realistically, I should be able to finish this within this challenge, but I also know that I have a very hard time reading this for a long time. Like, I can usually get about 10 pages in and then I'm like, so I'm not sure if I will be able to finish this, but I will try my best. And I also have The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde ready for, you know, if I finish A Journal of the Plague Year, or if I just want to read something else, then I can start this. I have never read this book. I got it very recently in a thrift store, and it's a short one. It's only 177 pages if you don't include the introduction. I usually, like, when I have like a classic with an introduction, I like reading the introduction, but for some reason the introductions kind of spoil the novel most of the time. Like, they spoil the plot. And I'm like, okay, I get it, but I also would have liked just like the historical context without being spoiled, you know? That would have been nice. But anyway, I will skip the introduction for this one. And with that, I will get into it. I think this is going to be a very quick 50 pages or 60 pages. These don't usually take me long, which is nice. I think the 50 pages in these books are going to take me so much longer than the 50 pages in the Percy Jackson book, but that's okay. It's a challenge for a reason. It has to be at least a little bit challenging, right? So, here we go. I'm back, and I finished Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. I'm very happy with that. It took me about an hour to read this, and with this, the first day of my challenge has been successful. On to tomorrow. It's the next day, and I am starting The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. It's currently about 7:30, and I figured that I would get some pages in before I go to work. 20 minutes later and I've read 9 pages and I'm enjoying this actually. I for some reason did not expect that. But I want to keep going, but I have to go to work now, so it'll be for later on today. I got home from work and it's 6:15 and I'm just going to continue reading The Picture of Dorian Gray. I've only read those first 9 pages, but I'm actually very intrigued to keep going, so. These people are so gay. So this guy, Henry, is asking Basil, I'm not sure. Basil? Like, oh, how often do you see Mr. Dorian Gray? And he replies with, every day. I couldn't be happy if I didn't see him every day. He is absolutely necessary to me. They're so gay. I've read about 20 pages, but I have to go now. I texted some of my friends who studied literature with me and I asked them if they had read The Picture of Dorian Gray, and like talking about how gay it was actually really nice. Like all of the characters that have been, like the 3 characters that we've seen so far, they're so gay and I like it. So today is Monday and I just got back from work and I'm going to take a shower. I feel like I really need it, and afterwards I'm going to cook dinner and clean because we are actually moving out of this apartment and tomorrow there is going to be potential new renters coming over to, you know, see if they like this place. And afterwards I'm going to read. I have read this morning before work and when I arrived at work and I was waiting for my computer to turn on because it takes about 10 minutes, so I got a little bit of reading done there. And now I still have 35 pages to go to finish today's 50 pages, and then that's the final day. I was thinking of maybe reading more than 50 pages today, but I don't want to overdo it. Let's just go for the 50 pages. The challenge is over and I wanted to just do a little recap. I'm actually very happy with this experiment. I read 50 pages, or actually 65 pages on the first day, on Thursday, and that's when I finished the second Percy Jackson book. And then on Friday I started reading The Picture of Dorian Gray, and I was actually very pleasantly surprised that I liked it so much. I read about 20 pages, I think, that first day, or maybe 26 or something, and then I had to leave. I came back from work and I had read a little bit, but then I had to go to my hometown because it was the yearly fun fair, and you know, usually my entire family goes, and I had met up with my brothers and my parents, and I actually stayed over at my parents' house so that I could go again on Saturday to this fair. So I didn't read anything once. I stopped reading here on Friday until it was Sunday. So I had brought my book back to my hometown so that I could read it there when there was like a dull moment, but there wasn't any dull moments at all. So I just didn't read, and I think that's fine. I didn't want to beat myself up over that, especially because I did reach my reading goal of 50 pages on Sunday and also on Monday. This is a very good exercise, and I was also very happy that I liked this book so much. I have about 40 pages to go, and it's actually really good. Like, I don't know why I'm surprised that this is good. But I've always kind of avoided reading this because I studied English and Dutch literature at university and also linguistics. But in like every general literature class, this book gets spoiled right away. Like, and it gets mentioned as like, oh, so there's this guy who has a portrait, and instead of aging, the portrait ages. So that's basically the plot, right? So I always felt like, well, I don't need to read this anymore because I already know what happens. But so much more happens, especially like the pages that I read just yesterday. I actually had to go to bed, but it was just so good that I wanted to keep reading. This is a mild spoiler, but someone gets murdered, and I was like, that was a tense scene. I did not see it coming. And also, this book is so gay, and like, I should have anticipated it because it's Oscar Wilde, but on the other hand, I feel like no one talks about that at university. Because I messaged my friends saying like, did you guys realize that this was so gay? And they were all like, I mean, they just briefly mentioned this book, but they never really went into the gayness of it all. And that's what I like about this edition, the Wordsworth Classics edition, because it has all of these notes at the end of the book, and it sometimes references the publication of Dorian Gray in the Lippincott's magazine. Sometimes there's a difference between the final published work and the magazine publishing. And sometimes it's like very obvious, gay stuff that was cut. Like, for example, this was cut from the final published work. It is quite true that I have worshipped you with far more romance of feeling than a man usually gives to a friend. Somehow I never loved a woman. With this edition, the gayness is even more apparent, and I like that. However, I did have to occasionally, go back to all of these notes and find the right number to see what is this about. And some of the notes are like, this is a character in a Shakespeare play. And I'm like, yes, okay, I know this. But other times, the notes were very insightful. So when I felt like it wasn't really important to look at the notes, I didn't. I have marked a lot of things in this novel, and I did not expect that I would like this as much as I do. I did skip a few pages in this, I have to admit, but at one point he's just kind of listing off pretty things, and I'm like, there probably is some deeper meaning to this, but right now I don't care. So I just kind of skipped that. I like the writing style. I'm not particularly fond of any of the characters, but there are just so many beautiful and thoughtful sentences in this book, and it talks about art and what is and isn't art. What I don't like is Lord Henry's sexist comments, like, please stop talking. So just a little warning if that is something that you don't want to be confronted with. There's this one character who's just so sexist, and anything a woman does is wrong or can be put into boxes, and it's just like, I know that this book is very old, but no. Will I be reading 50 pages a day forever? Probably not, but I do like trying to read every day. Anyway, I will wrap this up here. I will probably do more of these reading challenges in the future because I really like them, and they really motivate me to just take the time to read, and then I have more things to talk about in my videos. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so that I know that this is something you want to see more of in the future. And you can always subscribe if you want to see more of me. I upload every Wednesday, and I will see you next week. Bye!